Hey guys, welcome back to another End Times Prophecy News video. I want to give a massive shout out and thank you to all my Patreons, channel members, and just everyone who watches my videos and helps spread the word. Before we start, if you could all just take 2 seconds and hit that like button real quick, it actually really does help the video perform. Nuclear war with China or Russia, a very real possibility, top US general warns. Admiral Charles Richard, head of U.S. Strategic Command, stressed that while the prospect of nuclear war is low, it's not impossible, particularly in a crisis. The assessment comes as the U.S. and Russia extend the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty for 5 years. A top U.S. general warned Wednesday that there was a real possibility the United States could end up in a nuclear conflict with China or Russia. So Admiral Charles Richards, like we said, who is head of STROTCOM, I guess that stands for the U.S. Strategic Command, issued this stark assessment in an article published in the February edition of the U.S. Naval Institute. According to a report on Fox News, Richard further called on military and federal leaders to reimagine, whatever that means, the United States' methods of deterring aggressive action from its rivals. Reimagine. Richard, whose command is responsible, among other things, for the U.S. strategic and nuclear deterrence, wrote that while the prospect of nuclear war was currently low, it is not impossible, particularly in a crisis, he maintained. The admiral warned that China and Russia have begun to aggressively challenge international norms in ways not seen since the height of the Cold War. Richard cited a rise in cyber attacks and threats in space, as well as their investment in advanced arms such as nuclear weapons. He added that the acceleration of Russia and China's strategic capabilities and witnessing the progress that they have been able to make were sobering. China continues to make technological leaps in capabilities in every domain, Richard wrote. Across its conventional weapons systems, it continues to invest significant resources in hypersonic and advanced missile systems, as well as to expand its space and counterspace capabilities. The admiral further explained that although China has maintained a no first use policy with regard to nuclear weapons since the 1960s, it has, however, pursued a buildup of advanced capabilities. French President Emmanuel Macron on Thursday welcomed the renewed U.S. willingness to engage with Iran, offering himself as an honest broker, and said Saudi Arabia and Israel must ultimately be involved somehow. Emmanuel Macron has more than proven himself to be the end times equivalent of the Energizer Bunny, a relentless force of self-aggrandizement and self-promotion that is so very much in line with the man who said he desired to rule Europe like the Roman god Jupiter. With each passing day, it becomes more and more obvious that even if Macron is not the Antichrist, that he certainly thinks he is, and that is perhaps the most telling thing of all. He shall enter peaceably, even upon the fastest places of the province, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey and spoil and riches. Yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds even for a time. That's from Daniel 11:24. Kind of reminded me of Macron. Macron is everywhere you turn now, inserting himself into every situation, and with the backing of Pope Francis at the Vatican, it's virtually a can't-miss situation. I don't know about you guys, but it's beyond exciting watching prophecy play itself out as we watch it unfold in real time. I think there are two Macrons, however you say his last name, Macron. The one with the human side, and it's rather amusing watching him bumble and bluster his way through life. Comically, really. And then there's the other Macron, driven by an inner spirit that he himself cannot fathom, moving ever forward towards his destiny on the world stage that will overshadow that of Adolf Hitler. Pay careful attention to how Macron said that his working with the United States and Iran must involve Israel. It's always about Israel and always will be. We see you, Macron. We know what you're up to, you dirty little bugger. Macron makes his move to control Iran-US relations. We do need to finalize indeed a new negotiation with Iran, Emmanuel Macron told the Washington-based Atlantic Council think tank in a video conference from Paris. So this is a quote from Emmanuel. I will do whatever I can to support any initiative from the US side to re-engage a dialogue, and I will be here. I was here and available 2 years ago and 1.5 years ago to try to be an honest broker and a committed broker in this dialogue, unquote. In 2018, former US President Donald Trump abandoned the Iran nuclear deal, which was designed to limit Iran's atomic program in return for the easing of US and other sanctions. His successor, President Joe Biden, has said that if Iran returns to strict compliance with the accord, the United States will too. Trump restored the US sanctions that the deal removed and placed more on Iran. Emmanuel Macron said it was time for a new negotiation because Iran was closer to a nuclear weapon. There was a need to deal with its ballistic missile program and to promote regional stability. In 2019, he pushed to bring Washington and Tehran back to the negotiating table and to set perimeters for wider future talks. The broad idea then was to ensure Iran, which denies it seeks an atomic bomb, could never acquire one, to end Yemen's civil war, to develop a plan for regional security, and to ease economic sanctions on Tehran. European and Western diplomats have said Britain, France, and Germany have proposed sequencing for Iran to return to compliance in return for economic benefits. It is unclear if Washington would lift sanctions without Iran first complying. Elections. Poll shows pro-Third Temple politicians becoming lawmakers. And let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. Exodus 25:8. Two separate right-wing parties in Israel, I'm gonna get slaughtered on these translations, I'm sorry. Otzma Yehudit, a Jewish power, and the National Union were each expected to receive roughly 2 Knesset seats in Israel's current election, according to most polls. The only problem is that the minimum requirement for a party to enter Israel's Knesset and serve as an acting lawmaker is 4 seats. But after much deliberation and pressure from Israel's right-wing camp, the two parties reached an agreement where they would unite together and run a joint ticket. The result? The new party, called Religious Zionism, is now polling at 5 seats, more than the required 4-seat minimum threshold. In a tweet, Ben-Gvir said, "We have united for the nation of Israel, the land of Israel, and for the Torah of Israel." The third on the list is Otzma Yehudit, Chairman Itamar Ben-Gvir. In an exclusive interview, Ben-Gvir told Israel 365 News that he is in favor of building the Third Temple as commanded in the Book of Exodus. U.S. Senate approves amendment to keep embassy in Jerusalem. The 3 opposing votes were Democratic Senators Bernie Sanders of Vermont, Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, and Tom Carper of Delaware. The United States Senate voted 97-3 late Thursday to support an amendment to the resolution that affirmed the country's intention to keep its embassy in Jerusalem. It was put forward by Republican Senators Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma and Bill Hagerty of Tennessee. Inhofe tweeted that the amendment would make the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem permanent, effectively preventing it from being downgraded or moved. It's an important message that we acknowledge Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. On the Senate floor, Inhofe said that the amendment should not be controversial to anyone. It has been the US position for the last 25 years. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, and we should have our embassy in Jerusalem. Another quote. He also referenced past Senate votes to place the US embassy in Jerusalem. In 1995, the same amendment was 93-5. And in 2017, it was 90-0. Wow. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope everyone is well and happy. Please subscribe if you're not already, and God bless you and your families. Oh, I almost forgot. If anyone has any interesting testimony or story, like near-death experience or visions, or just like anything like that, sleep paralysis, which I used to suffer from, I would love to have you on the show and talk about it. You can find my email on the About page of the channel. Okay guys, God bless, and we'll see you soon.